Hi guys, today I wanted to talk about Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And if you follow me on Snapchat, you know that I just went on vacation to Florida and it was an amazing trip. But while I was gone, I got to read a lot. So I think I ended up finishing 3 books while I was on vacation, and this was one of the books. And I loved this book. It might be one of my new favorites of the year. So it's by Victoria Schwab. I have read other books by her. I have read The Archived, and then I have read The Unbound. And personally, I love her writing, and so I was hoping that it would be just as good going into Vicious, and it was. It was so good. If you have never picked up a book by her, I highly recommend Victoria Schwab. And there's so many new books out. There's like a Darker Shade of Magic, I think is what that one's called, and then This Savage Song is out now. So there's just a lot more that I wanted to get my hands on. But yes, I recommend Victoria Schwab. She's awesome. So I'll give you guys a synopsis if you guys have never heard of this book, and then I will give you a spoiler-free review. I want to talk about it a little bit. But at the end of this, I do want to discuss this book in detail. So there will be spoilers later on, but that's going to be at the end of the video. I will give you some warnings. So if you haven't read this book, you can go, and I will definitely warn you guys. I, by the way, read this on my e-reader, so I don't have a physical copy, but I'm hoping, I added it to my wish list, and I'm hoping to get a physical copy soon so that I can add it to my beautiful shelves. So this book follows 2 main characters, Eli and Victor. They are the best of friends, and I believe, they're in college. I believe they're pre-med. They're like the top of their class, super smart. In one of their classes they have together, Eli decides for his research, his thesis, that he is going to study EOs, and that stands for extraordinary. And so he starts researching it. He starts researching how some people are like Superman, how they're like born that way. Some people are like Spider-Man, where they, you know, like are bit or something and they become that way. And so he starts doing all this research, and I believe it was actually Victor that comes up with the idea that they should experiment on themselves becoming EOs, and everything goes terrible. So that's kind of like the setup of it. There are a lot of other characters that I really enjoyed in this story, but they're like the main 2 people. This story does flip back and forth between when they're in college to like the present day, when Victor is just now getting out of prison after serving for 10 years. And this is a revenge story. Victor is basically trying to kill Eli, trying to find him. And then once Eli knows he's out of prison, he's trying to kill him. So I love that every single chapter switches back and forth between them being best friends, then to present day, them trying to find and kill each other. And it's so good. It makes the story so just mysterious, and you want to know what the heck happened to them, why they want to kill each other, and what could have happened to have changed their relationship. So most reviews I have read or like watched here on BookTube, it seems like most people agree it's like 2 villains basically fighting one another. And so there's really not, like, there's kind of a blur between like good and evil, and you don't really know too much. Like, it's kind of hard to tell what is right and what is wrong. And like a lot of people I've heard kind of had problems knowing who to root for. I, however, had a favorite pretty early on. Not that he was perfect or anything, but I kind of sided very quickly early on, and I like followed through like the whole book. I was like on his side. So I'm interested to see though, if you guys have read this, which side you are on, because you kind of have to choose sides. I feel like you can't really be just like, oh, you have to choose sides. I don't want to go into any more details because I'm going to save that for my spoilery discussion section, but I don't want to spoil this for you guys. Just read it. It's so good. I read it in like 2 days, I think. Loved it. Highly recommend it. It's one of my new favorites of the year, and I don't think that you'll be disappointed. But if you have read it, you should let me know in the comment section like what you thought about it and stuff. But you guys should go now if you haven't read it, because I want to talk about some things in characters in detail. And yes, so like I said earlier, I did choose a side, and I chose Victor. And I liked Victor from the beginning. I'm not saying that he is perfect or anything. I know that he made mistakes, but when I compare the 2, I feel like it's so clear to me. I never loved Eli that much. I think from the beginning, I mean, I didn't hate him from the beginning or anything, but right away, whenever they started doing the experiments, like Victor's failed and Eli's didn't, and it seemed like Eli was already so about himself that he almost didn't care that Victor wanted to try again. And I could be wrong. Like maybe Victor also felt like Eli was gonna kind of do his own thing and he wouldn't help him again. Maybe that's not true. Maybe Eli would have eventually, but I do feel like something had changed when he had died, and like that was another really interesting like aspect of this story, how something like was missing from them kind of when they died. But some of the other characters that I didn't mention before, Mitch, I really liked Mitch, and I liked how it was interesting about his like backstory about how he has terrible luck. He's not an EO, because I thought that they were going to announce like that he was an EO, and I guess his ability is he has bad luck. I don't know, but it was interesting. They never, I mean, it was just weird. You kind of felt bad for him, like how he never really did anything, but then he ends up finally was like, you know what, if they're just gonna keep arresting me, I'm gonna do something bad, so I'm gonna rob a bank. And I also like that he kind of was like the brains behind it all. He wasn't the one that like went into the bank. Anyways, it was just I really liked his character. And I'm so happy he didn't die. I did not want him to die, and he came really close multiple times with Eli and Serena, and yeah, it was bad, but I'm so happy that he's okay, because I was like, oh, please don't kill Mitch, like, oh. So personally, I loved Serena and Sydney's powers. That sounds a little creepy. I know Sydney could like bring people back from the dead. Well, it actually worked out really well for Victor's plan, considering, yeah. But no, they just, I did get their names mixed up sometimes. Now that I'm like trying to talk about them, I'm like mixing up their names. They looked identical basically, and their names are really kind of similar. I don't know the S's, I don't know, it's messing me up. Serena, the older sister, I actually did figure out what her power was right away, and so you guys should let me know in the comments if you also like figured it out quickly. But as soon as they were talking about how they just let her go from the hospital, I thought they had said like she had asked them to let her go and then they let her, and I was like, oh, maybe she can just like command people like with her voice and they just do everything that she wants. And sure enough, they did. And then once she was talking to her little sister and was saying that you need to stay for a little bit longer and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, she definitely can just like have the power of just commanding things to be true. Like, yeah, so that was a really cool power. You have to admit, that would be awesome. Like how she could just go wherever she wanted, and she could just go to a hotel and be like, I don't need a credit card. I thought of it almost as like Jedi mind tricks, but she's like, I don't need a credit card, I'm gonna stay in this hotel room. And then they're like, okay, you don't need a credit card, go on up. Like, I don't know, but I just really, I mean, she kind of used it not in a great way. I mean, whenever she took over like all the cops and was like, Eli's a hero, Eli's a hero, like that wasn't so great. And then there's the whole thing, I didn't love her character, mainly because I really like Sydney, and she had her boyfriend shoot her. So yeah, definitely doesn't win like Best Sister of the Year award. Poor Sydney, poor Sydney. I'm happy she found Eli and Mitch and their little dog. I'm happy that, I feel bad for her though, like at the end. I kind of know Serena needed to die, and especially like with everything to have happened how it did in the end with like the cops and them coming in at the end with Victor and Eli, and that was so good. Oh man, it was just finally like those cops were out from under her like spell, and they were like, Eli's not a hero. Eli actually murders people, like a lot of people. And I love, like I didn't think, it's just so good when they find him covered in blood but with no injuries of his own. It very obviously looks like he just tortured and murdered Victor, and that is it. So I was so happy that he was like taken in at the end. And if you are an Eli fan, why? He was such a psychopath. He was such a hypocrite from the beginning. He is an EO, and he starts seeking out EOs to murder them because they are an EO. I'm like, what are you, Eli? What do you think you are? You're not God. That drove me nuts through this book when he thought that he had this God complex, and he felt like God wanted him to do these things. God did not want you to murder those people, Eli. I promise you, he did not. And the fact that he thought like his power was so much better and it was okay and all this stuff, I was like, give me a break, Eli. You are delusional. You are so delusional. And it was so creepy. I liked his character. I liked Victor. I wanted Victor to get his revenge more, but I liked reading Eli's character. It was really disturbing though to read about when he would kill someone and he would talk about like the peace that would settle over him and all of that. That was really creepy, and I was like, okay, dude, stop. It really went downhill. Like, Victor had an accident with, what's her face? Oh my gosh, I cannot remember her name, but Eli's girlfriend. So that was a complete accident. He would not have murdered her. It was a complete accident. He liked her. He maybe even loved her. Eli, on the other hand, he murdered so many people from the beginning though. Like, it wasn't really an accident. Like, it was kind of, he chose to. Like, he betrays his best friend. He turns him in, even though he's an EO himself. And then, like, he shoots him, like, right away, just, like, shoots him 3 times, just, like, doesn't hardly bat an eye at the fact that he's shooting his best friend. And then, with the whole thing with, like, the professor, like, I know at first he started, like, I think he meant well to try and, like, destroy the evidence so other people, like, because he knew, okay, this went wrong, like, we should have done this, and I regret this, so I'm going to take away, like, this research I've done, this evidence. But then when they started fighting, like, I don't know, he pushed him. I guess you could argue that was an accident. I don't really think that was an accident. But when it came to the janitor, that's when it all went really downhill for Eli. And you knew he was, like, gone. In the book, he said something like he didn't really plan it, but then he's like, yeah, I did look up his schedule. I did follow him home. All this stuff. I did run him over, but you know, God didn't stop me, so I guess it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine, Eli. You can't just murder people. Oh, yeah. I did get a little sad later, speaking of Eli murdering people, whenever Victor wasn't saving the EOs and he knew who they were, like the blue-haired girl and stuff, I was sure that Victor was going to go save them or like revive them. He'd go take Sydney and they'd revive him or something. And he would form this like army against Eli or something. But Victor's not a hero. I had to keep reminding myself, Victor is not the hero. There are not really heroes in this story. Victor killed people. He did murder the cop. He tortured him and murdered him. He's not perfect. But yeah, I had to remind myself, Victor's not going to go save that blue-haired girl. He's not going to go save that guy who was like seeing things or the ghost or something. He wasn't going to go save them. So I was kind of disappointed for a little bit, but then I had to remind myself, Victor's not a hero. You guys should let me know like who your favorite character was or how much you love this book, or if you didn't love this book, that's okay. We can talk about it in the comments, like what your favorite part was, any of that. I love this whole book and I wish there was more. I wish, oh, the ending was so good. So good. I wish there was a second one. I don't know really what it'd be about because the story's over. I guess it would just be like Mitch drinking chocolate milk, and I guess they're gonna have to get like jobs now. It's just a story about Victor getting a job, like a completely normal job. Sydney could bring people back to life. That's probably not good. She could be like a vet with her dog. She could be like a vet. And then she'd be like the best vet around because nothing would ever die. If it did die, she would just bring it back to life. And then the owners of the pets would be like, oh, Sydney, you're the best. Take all my money. That's a really good idea. So Sydney could support Mitch and Victor. That's a great idea. Vicious too. Alright guys, well I'm going to go. I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. You should let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm trying to get better about reviews. If you've noticed, I've been trying to get my reviews up and stuff. You guys have an awesome day. I'll see you later. Bye.